Hello friends and welcome back. Today I want to talk about life expectancy because over 20 years ago when I studied natural healing, I noticed something was not correct about life expectancy. Even 2,000 years ago, in the time of Christ, people lived to an old age. Take a look. Galileo Galilei from the 16th century lived to 78. Benjamin Franklin lived to 84. Michelangelo from the 16th century lived to 98. Pythagoras from the 5th century BC lived to 75. Thomas Jefferson died at 83, and Hippocrates from the 4th century BC also died at 83. So the inevitable question is, if we were taught that 100 years ago people lived to 50 years, how come there are so many celebrities from history that live to 70, 80, and even 90 years old? The answer is, those people of the past lived to their life expectancy, and so did many others that were not famous. However, we were taught that in the past, life expectancy was less than 50. How come? Back then, on the average, people lived to less than 50 years. But life capacity of an individual could reach 80 and even 90 years, just like it is nowadays. So why on the average people live to less than 50 years? Because people 200 years ago died in younger age, mainly due to wars, slavery, infectious and contagious viral diseases. Do you know that in times of Roman Empire, when a girl reaches 12 years old, she's considered a woman, and that's the time for her to supply more children for the continuing survival of the tribe, the kingdom, or the empire. When a boy reaches 14, he enters manhood and he joined the workforce or the army. 1,000 years ago, what were the chances of a soldier to survive the wound of a sword compared to a soldier in the 21st century who can survive easily a bullet wound? And 1,000 years ago, what were the chances of a baby reaching 5 years of age? Have you heard of the phrase, "Don't throw the baby with the tub water"? The origin of the phrase came from Germany in the 16th century. Now, imagine back then, family of 6 or 7 people in North America or in Europe taking a bath when water is cold. First, you need to heat the water. Then the men and the grown boys bath first. Then came the turn of the woman and the girls and the small children. They bathed the baby last in the dirty water. So there was a chance the baby was thrown with the bathwater. On top of that, throughout history, mankind faced plagues like the Black Plague in the 14th century that wiped out about 200 million people in Eurasia. The Spanish flu, who killed up to 100 million people worldwide, and there were more pandemics. You see, back then, there was no knowledge about personal hygiene. That's why babies died after birth, and many dies because of infections, that diseases related to contaminated environment condition. At the time, many people died because of infectious diseases from the water supply, from spoiled food, and from sewage that was literally running in the streets from horse manure and human waste. Just imagine in what condition people lived in the past. The word threshold came from a doorstep which held hay and straw on the wooden floor to prevent slipping when wet. At that time, roofs were made from thatch, where cats, dogs, rodents, and roaches find a warm place in cold weather. heavy rain causes them to fall on the house floor. No wonder back then it was raining cats and dogs. Why do you think women start to carry flowers on their wedding day, if not to mask their body odor? I'm quite sure you watch the movie or read the book Les Miserables. That's about the French Revolution in the 19th century. Do you think back then it was much different in any other country around the world? So what causes life expectancy to go up in the past 100 years? The experts say it happened because of the Industrial Revolution, which started in the beginning of the 19th century. First, machines took over the hard work, so people could preserve their strength for a longer time. Second, they cleaned their living environment. In the past, many people died younger because of bacteria that spread uncontrollably throughout the contaminated water, spoiled food, poor personal hygiene, and sewage. Did you forget that 100 years ago, people were riding horses? Horse waste was everywhere, helping to spread diseases. Better yet, the birth mortality went up because doctors and nurses started to practice hygiene. Later on, we built water pipes and supplied clean water and connected houses to sewage system. Just 100 years ago, the water closet, what we call today the toilet, was offered to the public, and by the 1940s, half of the homes had running water pipes and were connected to the sewage. Then the refrigerator was invented, and also preservatives, which both help to prevent food-related diseases. Throughout history, mankind was in war mainly to gain power over people and to take control over fertile land. Many people who died in wars helped to keep the life expectancy down. Just in World War II, which lasted 7 years, over 75 million people have died worldwide. Since then, the world did not have major wars, which helped to raise life expectancy. The development of modern microscope in the beginning of the 20th century, followed by other scientific equipment, helped scientists to develop antibiotics and vaccines for infectious and viral diseases. The introduction of them to the public started in the 1940s and 50s. From then, science claimed that antibiotic, vaccines, and medications from chronic diseases caused the life expectancy to go up to about 80 years of age. In the second half of the 20th century, food engineers and corporations developed countless products to suit our taste buds. Their products are clean from contaminants and have a long shelf life. In the beginning, it seems like people could live without the threat of dying from diseases. However, life expectancy leveled off in the 1980s. And from 2014, there is a reverse in it. If our living and working environments were improved, and our food is free of contaminants and diseases causing pathogens, and we have doctors and medication for every illnesses and diseases, then what makes our life expectancy to go down? There are a number of reasons for that. From the food we eat and the side effects from medications. But to sum them up, there is a chronic imbalance of bacteria in the body, mainly due to our ignorance and because we are too lazy to change our lifestyle. By the way, did you know that ignorance and laziness are the key to all our problems in life? Did you know that there are only two foundations for health and vitality? If you want to know what they are, Come and join me in the lesson where I explain it, and I will see you there. Goodbye.